So in the context of in the city, right? Places which were no-go zones. Reclaiming those spaces and reimagining those spaces as spaces where community life can be celebrated are par for the course in South Africa. I am reminded about a very poignant and relevant conference which was called in District 6 at the cusp of our democracy, called Hands on District 6. And this event evokes those emotions for me, where communities rise up spontaneously to grasp their own history, tell their own stories, define their own future, and live their own identities in the space which is urban South Africa. Then later, in District 6 was called Hands Off District 6. The second conference in the mid-2000s was called Hands On District 6. So you can see of communities claiming their space, their heritage, and dictating the forms of memorialization and memory preservation. Of course, this conference is not about District 6. This conference is about Durban. This conference is about a beautiful port city, rich in its diversity, that has become the cradle for an amazing community with almost 150 years worth of history and contribution into the society. Mine is not to tell their story, mine is to direct the program. So the first session is just to give you a picture, as we're going to have the keynote address on behalf of the mayor, given by Councillor Kuzwayo. And then we'll have a short video, which will give you a deeper sense of the community and the achievements, followed by the keynote address. And that is our first session. So without any much further ado, I'm going to call upon Councillor Kuzwayo to please come and give his opening address. Please, can you give a round of applause? And we thank him for honoring us with his presence today. Thank you, Councillor.
Thank you very much, Program Director, Mr. Brendan Boyce, for affording me this opportunity. Chairperson of the Amakua Research Committee, Mr. Alpha Frank. Hope Alpha much. Okay. Member of Parliament, my dear brother, Brother Brendan Play, Honorable Brendan Play. I'm used to calling you my brother, and I forget that you are now a Member of Parliament. We're deeply honored to have you here in our city. I do also know that there's a member of the provincial legislature, Bishop Vusi Dube, who's also supposed to join us. So I will leave my greeting here for him. So it's gonna wait until he arrives. Amakua Research Committee members, honored guests, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, Sanbonani, good morning. Aibo, you are in Durban, so when I say Sanbonani, I am expecting a resounding yebo. So let's do it again. Sanbonani. There we go. I now feel that we are indeed in Durban. Ladies and gentlemen, we wish to extend our warmest welcome to all of you, especially those who are visiting the city from other parts of the world. And it is indeed a distinct honor for us as a city to join you during this important occasion as you commemorate 150 years of the rich history for the Amakua community in the city of Durban. 150 years. That is a great feat. Having having been brought to the shores of Durban by a ship through a force of slavery, we can only imagine the anguish, the men and women who, against their will, were forced to unknown parts of the world and exploited, particularly here as sugarcane field workers. The story of the Amakua community is part of the bigger narrative about the African continent's brutal and painful history of slavery, colonialism, and of course, later on, apartheid. So, as we commemorate this momentous occasion, we must remember that for our history to be told accurately, we ought to be in the forefront of academic research and writing of literature about ourselves. This way, we will be ensuring that future generations get accurate context of their history and are able to preserve it. Therefore, we are delighted as the leadership of eThekwini municipality to be part of this celebration. For us, it is important to participate in such activities because we become part of the efforts to build bridges between communities and then which of course make our city to be the melting pot of cultural diversity. It is also true that it is only when we celebrate our diversity and respect each other's cultural background that we can build a more peaceful and tolerant society. Thus, as the people of the country striving to build a more cohesive and united nation, we join you today in celebrating the 150 years of contributing towards making our city a better place. And I have to labor a little bit on this point. I know I've got a few minutes given to me. You would know, Honorable Pillay, a week ago I was in Colombia. I was attending a conference on migration organized by the UN Habitat. Colombia has a serious problem of Venezuelans who just move in and out as they wish into Colombia. And they feel threatened by that migration. Of course, it's people who are looking for opportunities. So part of what we were discussing yesterday is how do you turn migration into an opportunity? And I said to them, I stood up and I said, I come from Durban. Where I come from, we have the highest population of Indians outside of India in that city. And for us, that has not become a problem. It has become an opportunity. And I jokingly said, even when we come to the city, you'll realize that Indians are the richest in that city. Because we have turned migration into an opportunity. These were slave migrants who are now part of the community, who are leading the community, who have integrated into society, and who are giving us a kind of city that we want to see. So I'm saying we must use this as an opportunity. We are encouraged to see that you have brought together a diverse group of experts, including academia, historians, and cultural experts, and of course, community activists to tackle different topics that are going to be discussed today. The caliber of participants is an indication of how committed the organizers are in delivering high-level discussions, and we hope young people are going to take advantage of this and ask very thought-provoking questions. Program director, for us as the city, we believe that as part of fostering social cohesion and contributing towards nation building, we must build an inclusive economy where all residents feel that they have a fair chance of succeeding. We also remain committed to creating a conducive environment for investment. We, eThekwini, remain committed to creating a conducive environment that is going to ensure that we create much needed jobs and other opportunities for our people. Ladies and gentlemen, as we highlight, I'm highlighting this because we have high levels of poverty and unemployment in eThekwini, and these, of course, pose a great risk to our communities. We hope you will touch on this and come up with innovative ways that we can all work together to improve the condition of our people on the ground. In conclusion, we wish you a successful commemoration conference, and we hope and we will be able to work together to make eThekwini the most caring and livable city in Africa. I thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Kuzwayo, for those appropriate words. Friends and colleagues, I think now we're going to pivot to a video, a short video which will be played, and then thereafter we will have the launch of the memorial wall video. Uncle Wally Sheikh has just arrived and he's settling down, so he will then follow the video and introduce the second video. Thereafter, we'll have the keynote address, and then we'll have a break. And please, can we take a lot of pictures during the break, eh? This is the age of social media where if you don't record something, it didn't happen. So at the coffee, we'll have enough chance to take pictures and to socialize. But for now, if I can call upon the multimedia team to please pivot to the video. Thank you.
Sinera yo wana ana mano wani nyuoni asomaka.
Can we give a round of applause to the production team? I think that was excellent. Right. So, colleagues, we're just lining up the second video. That was just an appetizer, right? I'm told the one that you're going to get up next is going to give the real history. It goes deeper, and it's more thorough. To be introduced by our Uncle Wali Sheikh. So in that interlude, I want to just share with you, just to buy some time for my technical team, I want to just reflect on my own personal journey with this community. So around 1994, and it's an important thread to the multi-dimensional story of the Amakua or Zanzibari. Around 1994, and one of the biggest issues which has faced and bedeviled South Africa is the issue of forced removals, right? And forced removals is like a stain on the urban landscape. The efforts to divide, the efforts to splinter, the efforts to classify people under certain population groups has left scars on our community. But around 94, the ANC government, then with the government of national unity, passed a very significant law called the Restitution of Land Rights Act. And the Restitution of Land Rights Act allowed for individuals or communities to reclaim any land from which they were forcibly removed due to racially discriminatory laws or practices. And this vehicle or this legal avenue was a beacon of light for the community. The community began to mobilize, and then there was something called a apartheid half-baked solution around land. It was called the Commission on Land Allocation. And the Commission on Land Allocation was established before our democracy to look at a very small set of dispossessions. But they didn't get very far because they weren't committed. It was a cosmetic process of trying to pacify the majority of people who had been dispossessed. And so the Zanzibari community initially lodged their land claim with the Advisory Commission on Land Allocation, which was transferred to the Commission on Land Allocation, which was then transferred to the Commission on the Restitution of Land Rights. Thank you. And that's where my road passed or crossed with this community, because I was employed by the Commission on the Restitution of Land Rights. As a young activist, wanting to see members of the community to get justice in relation to land, the Zanzibari Civic Association grilled me in many meetings as a state official. I'm now an academic. I can criticize government as much as I want to. And those meetings were rigorous and exciting. Working through the practicalities of democracy within the context of a bureaucracy. And I'm sure this conference is going to trace and reflect on this journey of the connection between place and identity. We all exist in a certain space, right? No one can be born abstract from space, and we become attached to place. And as we go through this conference, we're gonna realize the importance of King's Rest and the place that this community was removed from. We're going to reflect on efforts of the state, efforts of civil society, efforts of NGOs, and efforts of the community themselves to to become rooted again in that place called King's Rest. So those are just, that's just how I got to, as a young man, almost 30 years ago, got to have the privilege of walking down this journey with the community. Um, and now I want to call upon Mr. Sheikh, Mr. Wali Sheikh, just to come say a few words in introduction of this video production, to give us some context and to give us some insight into what we're about to see. Thank you. Can we give him a round of applause, please?
Good day for our visitors. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. You heard my assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Jazakallah. Today is a very nostalgic day. Wallahi, this is the first ever celebration of our forebears and descendants as they came through over the years. Now, this memory wall is going to make you laugh, it's going to make you cry, and you're also going to be aware of the challenges that our forebears had. And over the years, our parents, our grandparents, and even us today, even coming to Chatsworth, it wasn't a bed of roses. Going back to King's Rest also is a problem. Unfortunately, the government didn't have a blanket cover kind of thing, like how they said RDPs will crop up and come up anywhere and everywhere. We'll worry about services after that. Our project in King's Rest is an urban environment. And when the project started, they gave us thick books, all on objection. The local civic associations, the shopkeepers, everybody were anti. They spoke about crime, they spoke about traffic, they spoke about taxi ranks and all of those things. But we still persevered, and today I hope, inshallah, you all are going to enjoy this presentation. Thank you very much. Jazakallah. When you look at it, there's children, there's adults, there's ladies. This is only a painting. But in reality, this did happen. You know? Yeah. Look at this slide and study it. And imagine our forebears in that condition. And if you look at the register that we were given, they had an assortment of people, from babies, from young kids, adults, women, These pictures, some of them are not clear. Can you go on to the next one? Now, if you look at this, please, Almighty, help us. And you can see the sadness, you can feel the sadness, you can hear the sadness in this song. The Almighty Allah was the only source of the four. We'll listen through to the next slide. And you can hear the pain and the anguish and the anxiety in the people that were singing the song. Religious, June 5, the guarantee treaty between Sultan of Zanzibar, Bargash bin Said, it's a John Kirk, the British consulate, to suppress slavery. Yes, this treaty was written, but it meant nothing in reality. Because John Kirk, he was a consul general in Zanzibar, but he was also a slave trader. Now, you look at these characters. Do they look normal? They look like shady characters. Bargash himself, he was a king. He's a sultan of Zanzibar. And he was the one that's signing deals with the British to fetch people from Mozambique and distribute them, bring them to Natal colony. You see? Ah, here's our man. Consul General of Zanzibar. Consul General John Kirk. This guy, I don't know, must I say it? I don't know. But he was responsible for the trouble and trials and tribulations that we are going through in Natal. He was the one that brought us here, made his ships. The HMS Britain was the first ship with 113 people. Now, the beauty part of that ship was supposed to go to Zanzibar first, and then packaged, marked, tagged, and then those people are supposed to come here. That ship did not go to Zanzibar. It went to Madagascar. The journey of this ship was to Madagascar. Then they came down to Natal and were dumped here, the first batch that were dumped in Natal because of the shortage of labor in the sugar industry. But the government of Natal at that time preferred our slaves, our captured people. They were not even slaves. They were captured, put in a dhow, and the British took them out, put them in day boats, and they brought them down. And then you can see how they were divided. Irrespective of how many men, half of that number must go to public works, harbor, roads department of the time. And the other half, the shopkeepers and the farmers could have them. And the children, those that we saw there, were apprenticed for 7 years as domestic servants. What I want to ask, any of us that are sitting here, can we allow people to come and take our children, our beloved children, and say, no, take him, go make him a servant. I'll come after 7 years and fetch him. Right? On the 4th of August, which is we are commemorating today, HMS Britain arrived at the Durban port in Natal, having on board 113 freed slaves captured from a dhow in the Mozambique Channel. This was probably the 75-ton dhow captured in Mugambo port in Madagascar on 23 July 1873. Now, what is significant here, they were stored in Madagascar from July, August. It was just a matter of a couple of days. And then on the 4th, they were transferred from here. Because if on the 4th they were transferred and they left, say Zanzibar, for example, it wasn't going to be possible for them on the 4th to arrive here in the port of Natal. So this magic happened there. Kivolani and Umfuzi are rivers in the Mozambique Channel. Dhows came to these rivers for people to enslave, heading for Arab countries. 1873, 4th August, an Arab dhow loading 113 Ford bears, 28 men, 22 women, 37 boys under 12, 18 girls, 8 little children were rescued. We will use the word rescued by the British Navy, the HMS Britain, Her Majesty's ship, and who was the Majesty at that time? Queen Victoria, King Charles' great-grandmother. Now, I want you all to look at this chart. It's beautiful, but look at the dates. 1873, 1874, 1876, again 1876. That entire year, there was a sardine run in Mozambique. Sardine run, our forebears were sardines. The manner in which they were captured and shoved into the boats and brought. The entire year, all these ships here were very busy. You see? And if you look at the Mozambique Channel, you'll find that it was not to public scrutiny. The dhows were in the channel. As you come out of the river, the British were there, the naval guys were there, and hey, come, give us these people. And that's how we were brought here. You see? We'll have a look at this. We'll look at this first, and then. Here's one of the dhows in Mozambique. We'll hear the voiceover from there. These are the great elders in our family, in our community. You can see the free life that they had. That's me when I was young. This was in 1978 when we were involved in activist activities. This is one of our Muslim leaders. That's a Kigra cemetery. This is Chatsworth in the 60s and 70s and beyond. See, these were the houses that were provided by the apartheid government, being taken in 1962 and brought to Chatsworth. So these are the activities that we had in Chatsworth. We had to adapt. We had to reignite ourselves. We had to do beautiful things to try and settle down and strengthen our emotions. It wasn't easy. In Chatsworth, in 1962, within 5 years, 3 to 5 years, a lot of people lost their houses because they couldn't afford to pay that paltry sum of 7 Rand and 10 Rand. In Kingres, they were not paying rent. And they were working in companies and even in the fishing side of it, in oil refineries and all of that. But now from Chatsworth to Bluff, there's no transport in Chatsworth to take you to the Bluff. So what happens? You have to resign from your work because of the Group Areas Act. And in 1969, we lost 11 adults through stress. You go to the cemetery, you come back, 1 day later, 2 days later, somebody else is passing on. Nine people in the month of September of 1969 perished. Now, you look at this. This is an original document that was written in 1873. The administrator of the government directs it to be notified that in the event of freed slaves being received from Zanzibar, the government will require the entire number received. They want the entire number. They're not interested in farmers and shopkeepers. They want the entire thing. At first, to be employed upon the harbor works, the public works, the roads, and other public works. Now, 1873. Now, what that is telling us, how proud we have to be as Amakua in this country, that we contributed tremendously to work in the government, in public works. Why did they choose us? When they captured them in Mozambique, what kind of a community they went to? Those people were highly industrialized. They were living in stone houses. They were doing gold mining. They were doing steel mining, iron. They were making jewelry. So if you catch a person like that, you don't have to bring him here and teach him all of those things. As the proof says that they worked in all the different government departments. How greedy the British government was. to boost and uplift their colony. And 1873, can I share you with something? 1873, in Britain, they were going through a recession. Gold was less, potato famine, and all of those things they had. So this is why this frenzy, that sardine frenzy, they were picking up, so the resources from Natal can go quickly to sort out their problems in London. I think I better go near. This is quite far from my eyes. This is government notice number 177, 1873. In modification of the government notice number 142 of 1873, date 11th ultimo, His Excellency, the Lieutenant Governor, has been pleased to direct that in consideration of the very pressing general demand for labor, I just said that now, pressing demand for general labor, one half only of such freed slaves as may be received from Zanzibar shall be reserved for the service of government. This is a continuity. The Natal colony was built by who, people? Was built by our forebears. Can you say amen for that? As regards, here's it here. Look at that. Directing the attention to us. As regards the Makuas, recently brought by HMS Britain, 113 people, they're dying for 113 people. His Excellency has been pleased to approve of the following arrangements. These are the arrangements. Excellency was happy. He wrote it down. Here's the list. Go and do it this way. Adult men, 27. Adult women, 22. Boys, 37. Girls, 18. Under 12 years of age. Under 12 years of age, you're going to make that child to work under contract. Allahu Akbar. Lanat on them. Infants. What do you do with an infant? 8 of the men, one half will be made over to public works. The rest of the men, together with the women and children, will deal with in the manner here after detail. Now, public works, it brings to mind sub 5 of Kigres. From the time negotiations, brothers Brendan spoke about the difficulties that we had. Sub 5 is still not in our hands. Sub 5 is sitting with public works. This was one of our beloved elders. I'm sure his family members are here. Habib Suleiman, Rahmaniya Society, and Musa, here's your father. Mr. Salim Tunambo, Rahmaniya Mother Society. This is our cemetery. And this was a typical wooden line house in Kingres. You see, this is now, do you call this a shack? This is the proper house. You don't call that a shack. Now, this is the bluff, the old sketches of the bluff. The map of Durban showing the bluff. Right? Richard Nolte issued Current of World Affairs, Madison Square. This matter went to the newspapers in America. The government, despite this advice, has reclassified them. You better wait a little bit for me to get the DC across. This is our masjid in Chatsworth. This is our masjid in Kingres. Brendan, you are very much aware when we had the argument with Jummah Masjid that let us adjourn the meeting and let us go to Kingres and let us see what building did you leave that you're jumping up and down here. The argument was Land Affairs was giving them 500,000. Then they came to us with a document in their pocket. They say, no, you know what? 500,000 would be too less. So we came to appeal to the civic as a representatives of the Zanzibari community. You must add another 500,000 rand. Because if we go to Juma Masjid, to the members, what are we going to tell them that we only came with 500,000 rand? This is my father, Sheikh Syed Muhammad Anwaruddin. This, our beloved old man, our religious leader, Haji Ali Madad. This is my uncle, Hafiz Suleiman Nasr. This is also our Ustad Adamji, one of the pioneers of imparting Islamic knowledge to the children, as you can see. This is in Kingres. Here's our elder and Ustad Khalifa, Rahmania Madrasa Society and Community Affairs. Now this was a wedding attended by all the brothers. This guy here was getting married. This gentleman here. These are our elders that we lost. And these are our elders again. Who carried us? Who carried us in Kingres? You know, for religious things, community affairs, ID problems. These are the elders also who were in the community. This was a bus trip. These guys here, 1, 2, 3, they passed on already. This was a wedding. This is another religious leader with a white kurta. And this gentleman was getting married. That's me when I was small. When I was a baby. And notice, I'm looking at the camera. This is my great-grandmother. This is an aunt, and that's my granny with my small uncle, all passed on. And these are the ladies also who were great in culture, in grooming the girls when they were coming with rites of passage. From Kingres, this tradition handed down, you know, without any written information. These are our aunties also, great people that passed on. Musa, your mother, again, featuring. That's our auntie. You see? We as a community suffered tremendously with respect to identity, politics, alienation, rejection by other ethnic groups, name calling, namely lost tribe, Zanzibaris, which is not even a nation. Zanzibar means beautiful island. Zanj is Negro, black. Bar is beauty. This, when we got our land, this was A.B. Kantitu, one of our activists and member of the Civic Association. That day is my late uncle when he was working there in the mosque. And they were celebrating our victory in getting sub 15. Brendan, thank you for all the effort, brother. These girls are all grown now. This one too is grown. But what is important is the traditional way and the Islamic ethos. Now, this one, wow. King Wonderful Rovers, the first soccer team in Kingres. You see? Some of them are living, some of them are past. This is Diz Abdul. You all know him. You see? So soccer, for us, wasn't a game. It was a creation of identity. Because politically, there was no choice. Socially, there was nothing. Everybody had a pole distance from us. They didn't want to associate with us. But soccer brought them. This is a recent team that's gone to Carl Webster, took a team to Germany, set of boys for soccer. Now, sports was a religion for us. Education was important, but to establish our identity, we made sure South Africa know us. The first professional team in Chatsworth came from our community, Chatsworth Rovers. Those who remember Chatsworth Rovers played in Curry's Fountain and elsewhere. This is a trip in 2017 where our members from the research committee went to Zanzibar to create some kind of family ties and see. This is our champion. The live wire. These are the attire that the females use. You see, this here in the middle is sandal, the one with the stick where you grind. This is rite of passage for the boys. You see, when they go for some circumcision, they spend their time, and this is how they come out. Now, this is cassava. This is cassava. And these are the roots of the cassava, the branches of cassava. This is a ratib session where you spike yourself with the spears. This is one of our religious teachers, and this old man you all know. This old man you all know. Now, here's a beauty. It was important for us to go to pre-capture and ask, what were the people doing? Please just hold this one a bit. Dating back as far as 800 AD, the Amakuas were free inhabitants of northern Mozambique, Nampula, known as the iron and stone people who were very industrialized in this era. Livelihood, simple life, cattle farming, fishing, seafaring, growing crops, iron smelts, specialized in iron smelting. They also made jewelry. Raw materials, can we go back there? No. Okay, you got the drift. Also, the Makua language, largely spoken by 4 million people, north of the Zambezi River, northern Nampula, Pemba, Zambezi, the Cabo, Delgoa, Angocha, Ilihal de Mozambique, Nakala, Porto, and Provincia de Niassa. One of the dialects was Lomwe, Atokoma, Mito, Marobeni, and Nahara, and so forth, and Ethiopia. Right? Settlements featured stone enclosures, early modernization. Commercial settlements developed north of Sofala, Angocha, Mozambique Island. Intra-African trade flourishing to the west, gold trade, Arab and Asian traders, beads, cloth material, and other goods attracting caravans inland against Bay Sofala, currently known as Beira, was a trading hub between 10th and 17th century. Now look at how far back we are going. Vasco da Gama landed in Mozambique, and an interest in cheap labor and racial prejudice. The 17th century echoes the beginning of horrors of colonialism across East Africa, Zanzibar being the largest hub. Middle East, namely Oman and Saudi Arabia, Comoros Islands, Madagascar, the Americas, Mississippi, South Carolina, and Georgia. We also were shipped to Brazil and America as well. Between 1873 and 1877, HMS Breton Captain and Charles arrived with 502 forebirds. 1872, 225, 104 perished in shark-infested waters, 81 survived. What happens for compensation for that? 226 arrived between 28 March and 29 November. 1877, 432 were already employed in various sectors. 1878, 4 arrived. 1880, slavery dwindled and was stopped. England abolished slavery. But how much benefit did they arrive from that? The British patrolled the high seas between Mozambique and Zanzibar as a policing role to the suppression of the slave trade, but took the opportunity to our forebears for labor in the British colonies in Durban. 1873, slavery was illegal, but continued until 1880. Land, 25 acres were donated for our forebears by the St. Francis Xavier Catholic Church. Our forefathers were swindled. You know what I'm talking about? That what follows there. 1899, Mohammedan Church Trust. Now you look at the beauty here. There's no Mohammedan church anywhere in the world. They borrowed that, and they borrowed that because the St. Xavier were allowed because of their whiteness they were allowed to buy land. So they crafted this thing in 1899. Now, I want you all to think about 1899. What we had in 1899 in the country, the Anglo-Boer War. Ladysmith was under siege. The whole of Natal Colony from here, Colenso going up, offices were supposed to be closed, but these guys managed to squeeze a deal in the the master's office to purchase land. Now you think about that. 1916, change of name to Jummah Masjid. Why? You will have to change it because trust, you won't go far. Mohammedan Trust Church, no, never. Right? 1903, Britain continued capturing more people from Mombasa and Zanzibar to increase laborers. So they pass a treaty and they go on. Who are we, Amakua? Zanzibari, not a nationality. Hadimu and Shirazi are the clans of Zanzibar. Who do we perceive ourselves to be? Did we consolidate our history as descendants of slaves? What is our mindset is based on? What defines us? The pride of our heritage as a people who came from good stock with dignity, humility, and the religion that glorifies the oneness of Allah and freedom. Our forebears were stripped of human dignity and human rights. Our forebears were the rightful heirs to gold, iron, and ivory, generational wealth. Who shall compensate us for the lost lives at sea dating back to 17th century until 1880? Who shall compensate us for the displacement and enslavement of people who lost their identity and sense of belonging in the South African society? Who shall compensate us for the loss of land and failure to repatriate to our central and ancestral land? This homeland, Mozambique, that's our flag, and that's our emblem. This is something you're going to laugh, you're going to enjoy now. No sound. There we are. There we are. There we are. There we are. Allah. This year was a trip to Mozambique by a research committee and other relatives. This was a dressing in Mozambique. And if you look at our dressing, look at the ladies, they're here. There you are. From 1873 till now, we didn't lose the tradition. You got no sound on this lighting. I want you all to enjoy this one. I want you all to enjoy this one. Sound, please. What happened to sound? Also, before I close, I wish to thank my beloved sister, Rahana, for the sacrifices that she made to make this possible. She lives in Johannesburg, but she came down to help me to complete this job. My sister, I love you.
So I hope that was enjoyable for you guys. We've come to the end of the conclusion of the first segment of the program. The keynote, I'm going to push to the next session so that we get on track. And we're also aware that we need to release our dignitaries. So what I want to suggest is that we're going to do the national anthem, which we should have done at the beginning of the program. And then we're going to have pictures, and then we'll have a break before we reconvene. So please, can you rise for the playing of the national anthem?
Kosi sigeleri Afrika, manu pagani su ponolwayo, yizwa imitanda zo yetu. Kosi sigelera tina musabonwayo, murena buluka se chavasa Yesu, ufelice dentro sueñe, usibuluke, si chavasa Yesu, si chavasa. South Africa, South Africa, die blauw van onze hemel, uit die diepte van ons ziel. Voor ons eeuwige gebergtes, waar die krause antwoord geeft. Sounds the call to come together, and united we shall stand. Let us live and strive for freedom in South Africa, our
So I think we invite you to some snacks and for a small photo opportunity with the councillor.